The night was serene and beautiful, and it was showering too. The raindrops refracting the light looked like stars falling from the sky. And with the caption, "There is no such thing as a beautiful and peaceful death," our story begins. A car was pacing on the asphalt, its headlights glimmering through the rain, moving uncontrollably. It approached a young man who was out delivering food, working a night shift in the rain. But the protagonist could not handle the sheer suddenness of the car, and froze in shock. The car slammed into his scooter. The collision was so brutal that he became weightless, and during his free fall, he slammed into the railings. His scooter broke, and so did his ribs. His necklace fell a few steps away from him during the collision. He screeched across the road like a hanging bonnet, bruised all over. The car ran past him, leaving him to die alone in the rainy night. He was bleeding heavily. His torn clothes and bleeding body signified that death was near. Then, his trembling fingers slowly reached toward something. He sighed. Was he really going to die like this? He wondered if his life was average. But no, it wasn't even average. It was below average. Following his peers, he left his province and arrived at Noriangjin. He spent 7 years studying for the level 9 civil exam. Even after all that, he was working as a delivery man in his 30s. An image of his mother came to mind. He remembered how she took care of him, did everything she could. She worked as an insurance agent, a nurse at a nursing home, and in small shops, selling snacks and flowers, just so he could become something in life. Since his father had passed away, she carried all his tuition fees and his civil exam expenses. Yet she died last year from pancreatic cancer, leaving only a debt behind. He questioned himself. Would his mother ever be proud of him if he died like this? If he met her without achieving anything he had promised her? He saw himself as an incompetent son. But he knew his mother loved him with her whole heart. Suddenly, his gaze fell upon a glimmering light. It was his father's keepsake, the last thing he had from his family. He tried to move his broken body toward it, but failed, as his ribs were shattered and his blood loss was severe. Clenching his teeth in pain, he crawled toward the stone while groaning. As his eyes slowly closed, nearing death, he thought only one thing. He must grab that necklace. His head dropped, and the orb on the necklace rested in his hand, shining brightly. Suddenly, he felt a sharp headache. With discomfort, he opened his eyes. He asked himself how he was still alive. Confused, his mind began flashing with scenes, memories of his past life blending with visions of martial arts and medieval surroundings. He recalled playing with his brother and sister. He remembered his name, Joe Y. His sister stood in front of him and called out, "Father, Y has woken up." Her face was full of relief. His father asked Y how he was feeling. Still hazy, he replied that he only had a headache. His father explained that he was groaning in pain, as if he was about to die, and that he had been unconscious for 3 whole days. Actually, he was stabbed with a spear and became a donut. The protagonist was shocked to hear that. His sister asked him to eat something, because he must be hungry after sleeping constantly for 3 days. While saying this, the protagonist's father and his sister looked sad, as if they barely had any food left in the house. Then, his sister asked his father whether he was able to meet Master Bang this time. Listening to their chit-chat, the protagonist searched Joe Y's memories. He recalled that Master Bang was the Shujo general who monopolized the salt and iron trade in Anhui. And in this era one could only make swords by holding a plaque issued by the Shujo general. But meeting him was nearly impossible. As Wasiamayam, the junior sect leader of the Wa clan of the Sword Sect, acted as the intermediary. It was that swindler who took 2,000 silver coins from their family, falsely promising the plaque from Master Bang. Because of that scam, the family couldn't even earn enough to eat. Saying this, their father mentioned that he would be stepping out for a while, and left. The protagonist stood up, going through his memories. His father, Jo Soon, was a blacksmith of the Jo clan's iron chamber. His mother was wise and benevolent. His brother, Jo Hyuk, was foolish, always dreaming of becoming a Jianghu, a martial artist. His younger sister, Jo Yun, lived in poor health. And Jo Y himself had memorized the Twanja and the Analects in just 3 months. The transmigration gave him access to some other knowledge too, and this wasn't of Jo Y's. It is something that is so vast and about different subjects which Y never learned in his entire life, but the hardest thing to understand was a word which kept coming into the protagonist's mind, and that word is sama. It was carved deep into his mind, and whenever he thought of that phrase, an unbearable anger filled him. Standing in the compound of his home under the open sky, he reflected on everything. It was hard to accept death. He could still feel the pain from his previous life, and he couldn't understand how he ended up in this new body. He wondered what he was supposed to do now that he was alive again. Should he become a king? A general? A judge? Or even a god? The thought amused him. He only had 7 years of experience as a civil service aspirant and his part-time work experience. With all this, the only realistic path left for him was martial arts. Maybe, like in novels, he would meet a great master, a sugar daddy of martial arts, who would raise him to greatness. With that thought, he walked toward his brother, who was practicing a sloppy martial technique. Even with zero talent in martial arts, the protagonist could tell it was trash. His brother shouted "Ha!" while swinging the sword. The protagonist thought that even his elementary school friend from the Kendo Club could do better. He asked his brother where he learned that technique. His brother proudly said he learned it from a friend in the military, and added that at first, the friend didn't want to share, but after a few drinks, he spilt the secret. His brother said it all with a proud grin on his face. The protagonist said there was no point practicing it, because the friend never learned anything from a Jianghu master. So how could he be sure it was martial arts and not a joke? His brother became angry. He asked if the protagonist was mocking him, because no matter how many times he tried, he could never meet a Jianghu. The protagonist remembered that there were even times when his brother ran away from home just to meet someone from the Jianghu. He calmly said that yes, it was indeed difficult to learn from the older generation. His brother sighed, admitting that only once in a lifetime would a simple person get the chance to meet a Jianghu. But, if Brother Y wanted to learn martial arts, he could teach him. The protagonist immediately refused and told him to forget that idea. He then thought how wonderful it would be if, like in martial novels, he too could meet a great master who would teach him everything. He pondered deeply. He truly wanted to live longer. Now that he had this second chance, he wouldn't waste it. From today onward, he was Jo Y, and he would live as Jo Y. And with that, our first chapter ends.